Every single year, 1 out of every 4 adults over the age of 65 experiences a fall. That's not a minor statistic. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths in older adults, the most common cause of hip fractures, and one of the primary reasons older people end up in nursing homes, often never returning home again. But here's what the research is now telling us, clearly and consistently. Most falls are not inevitable. They are preventable. In fact, a landmark Cochrane review, one of the largest and most rigorous in medical science, analyzed data from 116 randomized controlled trials involving over 25,000 older adults and found that exercise programs that include balance training can meaningfully reduce both the rate of falls and the number of people who experience falls. Today, we're going to go through 5 specific balance exercises drawn directly from clinically validated fall prevention programs. These aren't random gym exercises. Every single one of these has been studied in peer-reviewed research. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know what to do, you'll understand why each exercise works, what's happening in your body, and how the science backs it up. Before we get into the exercises, we need to understand what actually goes wrong as we age, because this changes how we train. Balance is not controlled by a single system. Your body uses 3 overlapping systems to keep you upright. Your visual system, which tells your brain where you are in space relative to the world around you. Your vestibular system, located in the inner ear, which senses head movement and gravitational orientation. And your proprioceptive system, which is made up of thousands of tiny sensory receptors in your muscles, tendons, and joints that constantly feed your brain information about where your limbs are and how much force your muscles are producing. As we age, all 3 of these systems begin to deteriorate. Vision becomes less sharp, the vestibular system becomes less sensitive, and proprioception, arguably the most important of the 3 for preventing falls, declines significantly, particularly in the lower legs and feet. Research published in multiple journals has confirmed that this decline in proprioception is a major contributor to instability in older adults. On top of that, muscle mass decreases with age, a process called sarcopenia. After the age of 30, adults lose roughly 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade, and the rate accelerates after 60. The muscles most critical for preventing a fall, the hip abductors, ankle plantar flexors, knee extensors, and core stabilizers, weaken considerably if not deliberately trained. The result is that your brain is receiving less accurate information about where your body is in space, and at the same time, the muscles required to make quick postural corrections are weaker and slower to respond. That's the perfect storm for a fall. The good news? Every single one of these systems responds to the right kind of training, and that is exactly what these 5 exercises are designed to target. Let's go through them one by one. Before we start, a very important note. Please consult your doctor or a licensed physical therapist before beginning any new exercise program, especially if you have a history of falls, joint replacements, neurological conditions, osteoporosis, heart disease, or if you take medications that affect blood pressure or balance. All 5 of the exercises in this video can be performed near a sturdy support surface, a kitchen counter, a heavy chair, or a wall. You should always have something within arm's reach. If you feel dizzy, unstable, or experience any pain, stop immediately. Now, with that said, let's begin. Stand near a counter or sturdy chair. Place both feet hip-width apart. Slowly lift one foot off the ground, bending the knee to about 90 degrees. Hold the position for as long as you can, with a goal of reaching 10 seconds and working up to 30 seconds. Then switch to the other leg. Repeat 5 times on each side, twice per day. This exercise may look simple, but the research behind it is remarkable. The single leg stance is one of the most widely studied and validated balance assessments and training tools in geriatric medicine. Clinicians use it not only as a training exercise, but as a diagnostic indicator. Studies have shown that older adults who cannot hold a single leg stance for at least 10 seconds have a significantly higher risk of falling in the following year. The single leg stance directly trains what researchers call static balance, the ability to maintain your center of mass over a small base of support without moving. Every time you lift one foot, your brain is forced to rapidly recruit stabilizing muscles in the ankle, knee, and hip of the standing leg, while simultaneously processing proprioceptive signals from the foot in contact with the ground. The more you practice this, the more efficient those neural pathways become. A randomized controlled trial, specifically examining the effects of unipedal standing balance exercise, which is the clinical term for single-leg standing, found that this single exercise, when performed regularly, led to measurable reductions in fall incidence in community-dwelling older adults classified as high risk. The Otago exercise program, one of the most thoroughly validated fall prevention programs in the world, developed at the University of Otago in New Zealand and now promoted by the Centers for Disease Control in the United States, includes single-leg standing as one of its foundational exercises. In studies involving the Otago program, participants experienced a 35 to 40% reduction in falls. That is not a minor result. That is nearly cutting fall risk in half. When you can comfortably hold for 30 seconds with eyes open, you can make this harder and more effective by closing your eyes. When you remove vision, your brain must rely more heavily on proprioception and the vestibular system, which trains those systems more intensely. You can also try standing on a slightly uneven surface, like a folded yoga mat or a balance pad, which challenges the small stabilizing muscles of the ankle and foot even more. Stand near a wall or counter. Place one foot directly in front of the other so that the heel of your front foot is touching, or nearly touching, the toes of your back foot. This is called the tandem position. Hold this position for 10 to 30 seconds, then switch feet. Progress to doing this with your eyes closed once you've mastered the eyes open version. Now taking that same foot position and turning it into movement. Walk in a straight line, placing each foot directly in front of the other, heel to toe, for 10 to 20 steps. Keep your arms relaxed at your sides or lightly touching the wall for safety. Walk forward, then turn slowly and walk back. Tandem stance is a step up from the basic single-leg stance because it combines a narrow base of support with a forward-backward challenge, whereas the single-leg stance mainly challenges your lateral or side-to-side stability. In clinical fall risk assessment, the tandem stance is used as part of standard balance testing. Older adults who cannot maintain this position for at least 10 seconds are classified as being at elevated fall risk by numerous assessment protocols used in physical therapy and geriatric medicine. Tandem walking takes this further. When you walk heel to toe in a straight line, you're performing what researchers call a dynamic balance task, one that requires your brain to continuously predict and correct your postural alignment as your body moves through space. This is far more like real-world walking than simply standing still, and research consistently shows that dynamic balance training has a strong carryover effect into everyday activities like walking on uneven ground, navigating stairs, or walking in busy environments. The meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine, which analyzed 16 randomized controlled trials and involved more than 1,200 older adult participants, found that exercise programs significantly improved dynamic balance as measured by tools like the Timed Up and Go test, a validated clinical measure of functional mobility. Tandem walking exercises contributed meaningfully to these improvements. The Otago exercise program includes both heel-toe standing and heel-toe walking as core components, precisely because of their value in training this dynamic balance capability. When learning tandem walking, always keep one hand lightly resting on a wall, counter, or handrail. Only remove hand support when you feel fully confident. If you begin to feel dizzy or unstable, stop, widen your stance, and rest. Sit toward the front edge of a sturdy, stable chair, not a soft couch or recliner. Your feet should be flat on the floor, roughly shoulder-width apart. Lean your chest slightly forward over your toes. Without using your hands if possible, slowly push through your heels and rise to a full standing position. Squeeze your thighs and glutes as you come up, then slowly lower yourself back down in a controlled manner. Repeat 10 times. Rest and repeat once more for a total of 2 sets. The sit-to-stand exercise might look basic. After all, we all get up from chairs dozens of times a day. But this exercise is one of the most functionally important movements in all of fall prevention training, and the research supports this emphatically. From a biomechanical standpoint, rising from a chair requires a coordinated transfer of momentum, strong knee extensor muscles, hip extensor activation, ankle dorsiflexion range of motion, and good postural alignment, all at the same time. These are exactly the physical capabilities that deteriorate with age and that are directly linked to fall risk. Clinicians use a standardized version of this movement, the 30-second chair stand test, to objectively measure lower extremity strength and functional endurance in older adults. A lower score on this test is strongly associated with increased fall risk, decreased gait speed, and reduced functional independence. Johns Hopkins Medicine specifically recommends the sit-to-stand exercise as part of their evidence-based fall prevention guidance, noting that it simultaneously builds leg strength, improves body mechanics, and trains the balance challenge that occurs during the transition from sitting to standing and back, a moment when many older adults actually do fall. Research on multi-component exercise programs, which combine balance and strength training, consistently shows superior results compared to either alone. As you get stronger, try holding a light weight in each hand, a 1 or 2 pound dumbbell, or a filled water bottle. You can also try slowing down both the rising and lowering phases to increase muscle engagement. Ultimately, the goal is to do this without using your arms at all. Stand behind a sturdy chair or at a kitchen counter with both hands lightly resting on the surface for balance support. With feet hip-width apart, slowly rise up onto your toes as high as you can go. Pause for a moment at the top, then slowly lower your heels back to the floor. That is 1 repetition. Aim for 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions with a short rest between sets. This exercise is deceptively powerful. Let's talk about why the calf muscles are so critical for preventing falls. The muscles of the lower leg, primarily the gastrocnemius and soleus, which make up the calf complex, are responsible for controlling forward motion of the body over the foot while walking. They produce the push-off force at the end of each step and, crucially, they help you respond rapidly to a sudden loss of balance. When you begin to lose your balance and tip forward, for example, the ankle strategy, which is the body's first automatic response to a small disturbance in balance, relies almost entirely on the muscles of the lower leg to rapidly apply corrective force. If those muscles are weak or their response time is slow, the ankle strategy fails, and a step strategy must be used instead, meaning you take a quick compensatory step to avoid falling. If your step is slow or poorly coordinated, a fall results. Multiple studies included in the Otago exercise program protocol specifically target the calf muscles because research shows their strength is directly correlated with both static and dynamic balance performance in older adults. The Otago program incorporates what it calls tiptoe exercises, which are essentially calf raises, as one of its 5 primary strengthening exercises. Additionally, strengthening the calves and improving ankle mobility directly benefits proprioception. The sole of the foot and the ankle joint contain a high density of proprioceptive sensors. When the muscles and tendons around the ankle are stronger and more flexible, these sensors function better, sending sharper, more accurate signals to the brain about your body's position. The World Health Organization recommends that older adults engage in muscle-strengthening exercises, including lower limb exercises like calf raises, at least 2 to 3 days per week as part of a comprehensive fall prevention strategy. Once two-handed calf raises feel easy, progress to performing them with one hand on the surface for support, then fingertips only. Eventually, you can attempt them on a single leg, a significantly harder challenge that targets stabilizing muscles even more intensely. Stand with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, beside a counter or wall for safety. Shift your body weight slowly to the right, lifting your left foot very slightly off the ground if possible. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Then slowly shift your weight back to center and over to the left, lifting your right foot. That is 1 repetition. Do 10 repetitions on each side for 2 sets. As you improve, hold each side for longer and make the weight transfer slower and more deliberate. Weight shifting is a foundational skill that underlies every single movement we make while standing or walking. Every step you take requires a full transfer of your body weight from one leg to the other. Every time you reach for something, turn, or change direction, you are performing a weight shift. And when your body begins to tip in any direction, correcting that tip requires a rapid, well-controlled weight shift in the opposite direction. Research in biomechanics and physical therapy has identified that many older adults develop an unconscious but critical compensation. They widen their stance and reduce the speed and range of their weight shifts during walking. This is the body's instinctive response to perceived instability. While this might feel safer in the short term, it actually accelerates the deterioration of the neural and muscular systems needed for proper balance, creating a feedback loop that makes falls more, not less, likely over time. The lateral weight shifting exercise directly trains the hip abductor muscles, particularly the gluteus medius, which are among the most critical muscles for lateral stability during walking and standing. Research published in the context of fall prevention programs consistently identifies hip abductor strength as a key protective factor against falls, particularly sideways falls, which are the most likely to result in hip fractures. A systematic review published in Frontiers in Physiology that examined balance exercise interventions in older adults found that exercises specifically targeting lateral stability, including weight-shifting tasks, produced significant improvements in balance recovery, which is the ability to regain stability after an unexpected disturbance. The slow, deliberate nature of this exercise is also intentional. Research shows that when balance exercises are performed slowly and mindfully, they activate the proprioceptive system more deeply than fast movements, helping to retrain the brain's sense of where the body is positioned in space. To increase difficulty, perform this exercise on a slightly uneven surface, such as a folded yoga mat. You can also add a slight reach of the opposite arm as you shift weight, which introduces a mild dual-task challenge, known to be highly beneficial for reducing falls, because in real life, balance challenges rarely happen in isolation. You might be carrying a bag, turning to talk to someone, or reaching for a door handle while walking. Now let's put this into a complete practical routine that you can actually follow at home. This routine is designed to be done 3 times per week, ideally on alternating days, such as Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The World Health Organization recommends that older adults perform balance exercises on 3 or more days per week, and this is the frequency used in the most effective research-validated programs, including the Otago exercise program. Start with 5 minutes of light movement to warm up, gentle walking in place, ankle rolls, and slow head turns side to side. Then perform the 5 exercises in this order. Single leg stance, 5 repetitions on each leg, working up to 30 seconds per hold, 2 rounds, approximately 5 to 8 minutes. Tandem stance, then tandem walking. Hold the tandem stance for 30 seconds on each foot arrangement. Then perform tandem walking for 10 to 20 steps, forward and back, 2 rounds, approximately 5 minutes. Sit to stand, 10 repetitions, 2 sets, with 30 to 60 seconds of rest between sets, approximately 5 minutes. Calf raises, 10 to 15 repetitions, 2 to 3 sets, approximately 4 to 5 minutes. Weight shifting side to side, 10 repetitions on each side, 2 sets, approximately 5 minutes. Finish with a light cool down, seated ankle pumps, gentle stretching of the calf and hip flexor, and slow deep breathing. Total time, approximately 25 to 35 minutes per session. On the days between balance sessions, a walking program is highly recommended. The Otago exercise program specifically incorporates a walking component of up to 30 minutes at a moderate pace, at least twice per week. Walking itself improves gait stability, cardiovascular health, and reinforces the coordination patterns trained in your balance sessions. One of the most important things the research tells us is this: consistency matters more than intensity. A study published in the journal Age and Aging found that exercise has little or no lasting protective effect on falls after an exercise program ends. In other words, the benefits of balance training require ongoing practice to be maintained. This is not discouraging. It simply means that balance training needs to become a regular habit, not a short-term project. The good news is that results can appear relatively quickly. Research at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill found statistically significant improvements in clinical balance scores after as little as 8 weeks of following the Otago exercise program protocol. A study involving adults aged 80 and above, a particularly high-risk group, found that those who performed home-based strength and balance exercises at least 3 sessions per week for 12 months had a fall risk of 25.4% compared to 44.3% in the control group. That's a dramatic, real-world difference, and it came from doing exercises not very different from what we've just walked through. The Cochrane Review, analyzing 116 studies, also found a dose-response relationship, meaning that programs involving more weekly exercise produced larger reductions in falls. The most effective programs challenged balance at a moderate to high level, which is why we emphasize progression, not pushing beyond your safety limits, but gradually increasing difficulty over time. And importantly, the research shows that physical exercise also reduces the fear of falling. This is clinically significant because fear of falling leads to reduced physical activity, which accelerates physical decline, which increases actual fall risk. Breaking this cycle with regular exercise has measurable benefits not just physically, but psychologically as well. While these 5 exercises are the core of today's video, it's worth briefly noting several other evidence-based strategies that complement your balance training. Tai Chi has been studied extensively for fall prevention. Research consistently shows that Tai Chi programs can reduce the number of people who experience falls by approximately 20%. It trains slow, controlled weight shifts, balance on a reduced base of support, and smooth coordination between the upper and lower body, all of which overlap with the exercises we've discussed. Medication review is critically important. Multiple medications, including certain blood pressure drugs, sleep aids, antidepressants, and diuretics, are known to increase fall risk through dizziness, blood pressure changes, or muscle weakness. A review with a physician or pharmacist to minimize high-risk medications where possible is one of the most effective non-exercise fall prevention strategies available. Vision checks are essential. Visual acuity changes with age, and outdoors walking with poor vision dramatically increases fall risk. Regular eye exams and appropriate corrective lenses are strongly recommended by fall prevention guidelines. Home safety modifications, removing loose rugs, improving lighting, installing grab bars in bathrooms and stairways, and ensuring clear pathways, are also strongly supported by fall prevention research. The exercises in this video are not about becoming an athlete. They are about maintaining the most fundamental things in life: the ability to walk independently, to live in your own home, to get up from a chair without assistance, and to move through the world without the constant fear of falling. The research is overwhelmingly clear. Balance training works. It works for adults in their 60s, their 70s, their 80s, and beyond. The Otago exercise program, the gold standard of evidence-based balance training, has now been validated in over 100 studies conducted across multiple countries and settings, and it consistently produces a 35 to 40% reduction in falls among older adults. If you have not yet spoken with your doctor or physical therapist about fall prevention, please do so. A physical therapist can assess your specific balance profile, identify your individual risk factors, and personalize these exercises or progress them at the right pace for your body. And if this information has been helpful to you, share it with someone you care about. Because a fall prevented is a life protected.